Pats are now 1-1. So, good morning.
Good morning.
McCone.
How we doing?
Hi,
They didn't
Tim.
get their doors blown off.
They did not.
That didn't happen.
Mr. Worcester.
But they did lose.
Yeah, they did.
They did
They're
lose
not
the
2-0.
game. They're
Yeah.
not 2-0, though, so.
Yeah, they didn't make enough plays to win this game. You hear Mayo after the game, and he talks about, this game really comes down to a play or two, and that's what it is in the National Football League. And that decides whether you win or lose. And I go back to Cincinnati, and I look at the clock, and it was 6:10 left in that game. I said, Bob, this is the critical part right here. This is where they got to be on point. This is where communication's got to be good. This is when they sent the bigs in, and you got to kill the clock, and you got to manage the clock to get to that 2-minute warning. They only had 2 timeouts left, and it's you versus that clock. And in Cincinnati, they perfected that. They ran the clock out. They did what they had to do. Opposite here today. Yesterday. It was 6 and change left, a little more than 6:10. And I'm looking at that clock again. Here we are. Tight game. You got the ball. What are you going to do? And you get a nice run, really nice run by Gibson. And I thought this was the game, this sequence. We're going to talk about everything. Penalties, you name it, first half. But, the inability to get the ball to the receivers. Gibson gets the big run. You run on first. You run on second. And then you have a long drop back where he's holding the ball on third, and it's the one spot you can't take a penalty, you can't have a sack. And Jacoby Brissett knows that.
Yeah.
In 9 years in this league, that is the cardinal sin right there.
I'm glad you bring that up because that's worthy of a lot of discussion. But I just want to say this off the top. We are 2 weeks into the season, 2 games in, and this team is leaps and bounds more interesting than I ever thought they would be.
They're a likable team.
They won their first game. They fought hard and came up short in an overtime loss in the second game. And I would say through 2 weeks, my oh my, we have a football team and football games to talk about, which is great. Okay? That's great that is what this team looks like through at least 2 weeks. We're midway through September, and this is interesting again, which is awesome. I also think that you're talking about a play with a quarterback that's been in the league for 9 years. And knows better, as you said.
It's the reason he's given us opportunity, right? Because they don't want to put Drake May in that position yet because we're going to bring the veteran in to manage these games and keep us in them.
I think the clock is ticking on Jacoby Brissett. Because I think what you want to focus on, and a lot of people want to focus on today, is Gerard Mayo or Alex Van Pelt or decisions or penalties. I think it comes down to this. This roster's not good enough. If you have a slightly better quarterback, you win yesterday. If you have a slightly better offensive line, you probably win yesterday.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is what this boils down to. And
Geno Smith outplayed him.
What's that?
Geno Smith outplayed Jacoby. It wasn't even close.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah, no, it was not even close.
But the receivers, it's the perfect complement to 1, 2, and 3. You got the one big wideout, you got the experienced slot guy in Lockett, and you got the young phenom in Smith and Jigba. And all 3 can catch the ball and are threats. And I watched their defense. They tried to play some zone because they couldn't play single high because of the outside, the deep ball. And then you had the blown coverage on Metcalf, which that's inexcusable too.
I think this comes down to one of 2 people to blame for yesterday. Who do you blame? Gerard Mayo or Elliott Wolf for yesterday? Who do you want to pin it on?
I didn't see any unless you want to talk about why did you go for a 4th and 1? That's a Mayo call. That one's on Wolf then.
Worth questioning.
I mean, this is about, again.
And by the way, Jacoby Brissett falls under the Elliott Wolf category.
Well, yeah. But he's got to
if you're pissed at Jacoby Brissett, that's an Elliott Wolf shortcoming.
Jacoby through 8 quarters of football has made more plays with his legs to keep plays alive and find guys. The plays to Hunter Henry yesterday, those were great. But he has a ceiling, and you're going to get the good with the bad. He's not to the level where we look at him as he's like a top 10 quarterback where you're going to manage 4 quarters almost perfectly. And nobody really even does that. But when you don't have blocking on the outside and you don't have anybody getting open, it really puts a strain on Brissett. I don't know how May's supposed to save you. My phone blew up in the 4th quarter yesterday.
You don't think May could do a better job than what you got out of Jacoby Brissett yesterday, especially in the second half? You really don't think Drake May is worth a shot at some point?
He's worth a shot
better
at some
than that.
point. The line is so bad right now off the edge. Even Michael Wonder struggled late in this game. He missed some blocks too. And I'm just talking about looking at the reviews when I look at the Fox replay up on the TV as we call the play because we got the delay. I'm like, holy crap, I could see it all. Because I'm trying to watch the quarterback and the routes. So sometimes I lose track of the line. And then you go back to when I go to review, I look at the line. So I go quarterback, receivers, then line. And then you kind of put it together like nobody's open, nobody's blocking. What's Drake May going to do then? Just take off? Going to get hit like Jacoby Brissett does and take off? You want him doing that? Is he ready to do that yet? Just take off? Like, okay, nothing's here. I'm going through all my reads. Oh, crap, I can plant that back foot. I mean, there were times where Jacoby's planted back foot and he's starting to come forward because he could already feel the rush getting by him. Your receivers aren't doing anything right now. And you're making no intention to get them the ball either. You mean to tell me Pop Douglas through 31 snaps cannot touch a football? I'm talking about on a jet sweep. I'm talking a bubble screen. DK Metcalf is getting the ball screened in yesterday on bubble screens. You can't go trips or motion him out and throw a bubble screen to the left. Matt Patricia did. I mean, Billy O'Brien did. What do you have last year? 50, 55 catches? Something like that? So I already know that guy can play in this league. I think Polk can play. Polk's got a good feel for the game. Tyquan Thornton's giving you nothing right now.
11 catches Patriots receivers have through 2 weeks. 11. It's 2024. If anyone inside this building hasn't taken a look at the calendar to recognize what year we're living in, it's 2024.
I mean,
the name of the game in the NFL is throwing the football. And through 2 weeks, the professional grade receivers that Elliott Wolf has put on this roster have combined for 11 catches. And Pop Douglas, as we're talking about, doesn't have a single one yesterday.
Problem is you're rushing Kendrick Bourne back early. That's what this is.
What is that going to solve? What is that going to solve?
Competitive wideout. Puts another good guy on the field for you. You already said they're an entertaining, fun team to watch.
Well, I don't know about fun. I don't know that yesterday was fun.
Take Thornton out.
I don't know that yesterday was fun. It was it was an interesting, engaging game.
Fun's weird.
Tight, close, back and forth, competitive. Was it super fun? Not really. They were efficient in week one. They limited mistakes. They caused turnovers in week one. Yep. They couldn't generate those things again yesterday. They couldn't do it.
No.
And therefore they lost. And so I think there will be plenty more like that yesterday. But I think that's like a positive in that it's going to be more competitive. But the whole Bill Belichick win from week one, I guess they couldn't find a Bill Belichick win in week two.
No, but that was a Bill Belichick loss in week two. That's the same thing that we've seen over the last few years when Bill Belichick's teams fall short when you needed a critical play in a critical situation. End of the first half, end of regulation, start of overtime. You couldn't make a play that actually puts you over the hump, similar to what we saw the first 2 weeks of last year where you had games in hand or an opportunity to go out and win those games and you couldn't capitalize on it. I didn't think yesterday was really any different than what we saw in the beginning of last season for the New England Patriots, to be totally honest with you.
A Bill Belichick loss yesterday. A Belichick-style loss of recent years.
Close, but you couldn't finish.
Not enough, and not enough talent.
No.
And this time you got to break it up because the head coach isn't picking the players. The GM is. I want to give Gerard Mayo a pass today.
Yeah, there wasn't.
I'm going to give him a full pass.
There wasn't like a critic. Like, did you have to call timeout because you had to get something straight on defense once? Yes. Or you weren't organized once? Yeah. You had to burn 2 timeouts yesterday. But other than that, I didn't feel like there was anything egregious.
I think that our expectations of a head coach are too much because of what we watched for a very long time with Bill Belichick. That our expectations are that head coaching needs to be perfect and always needs to be smarter than the other team, and those instant decisions in game always have to be on point. I think most teams in this league are able to close the gap between not so perfect decision making from your coach with talent on the field, with a guy who can do that. And I think our debate for so many years now has been, how much did Tom Brady cover up any coaching deficiencies? How much was he able to cover up big gaps in years when the talent wasn't great? And I think that if the talent were better on this team, you'd be able to cover up some of those gaps. You'd be able to actually, make plays.
Maybe they knew it too, though.
That give you a win.
But the talent's not going to be better. The talent is what it is this year.
This is why they went after Ridley. This is why they went after Ayuk. They kind of know we're limited outside.
And so if the talent isn't there, then the coaching has to be at another level.
I think there's only so much you can do with this roster, and I think that it's a bad reflection on Elliott Wolf.
It's sort of a smoke and mirrors type thing.
You only needed to be a little bit better at some of these spots. You didn't have to have Brandon Ayuk to go beat the Seahawks yesterday. That's my point.
No.
It's not about Brandon Ayuk. It's not about the top flight guy, a top 5 receiver. It's about Can you do better than what was out there? The left tackle quit over the weekend, apparently. We have an APB on Chooks. Where is he? Where is he?
He's done.
Where'd he go? What's the story? What are you hearing?
Oh, I asked Mayo in the pregame.
Yeah, what'd he say?
So I had a good talk with him. I want to make sure he was okay, just as his head and as a man. And football's not it right now. And something else is more important. And it's a non-football issue. I guess it's a personal issue. So
the personal issue being that he doesn't want to play football.
Yeah.
That's kind of the personal issue.
It's the big off-season signing.
Yeah, no, that was the guy that Elliott Wolf promised us would be the guy at left tackle that they really believed in him. They really believed in his ability to play left tackle while the rest of us laughed and mocked it. Appropriately so, by the way. He gets benched 12 snaps in and then quits the football team like he's a freshman in high school. What?
Gonna go run cross country. Yeah.
He's gonna sit it out until wrestling season. What? Wait, what? What's he doing? That's what Elliott Wolf assembled on the offensive line. It's a joke. And if his talent was just marginally better, they can win a home game in their home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. That's all they needed. They should be better than they are. So I want to give Gerard Mayo a pass. I even want to give AVP a pass. But I would just say on the AVP front, you got what you deserved with Jacoby Brissett yesterday. He's not good. He's not good. He's the perfect fall guy to get Drake May in there. And I think yesterday started the clock. For all the quieting down of the Drake May conversation in week 1, the clock on his time as quarterback started yesterday.
I got nothing in week 1.
Tick, 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 tick. It's ticking away.
Phone blew up in the fourth quarter.
It's ticking away.
Are you seeing anything? I'm like, nope.
Because he gives you nothing extra other than, he'll play that mistake-free football. Well, what was that mistake that he made yesterday? Jacoby, been in the league 9 years. Zoe just said, you know better.
Sadly, that kick would have got blocked if it was at the 10. If you play it out the same
I need
way.
like the 60 minutes.
Yeah. Hooper didn't block down.
A stopwatch.
Out,
for Jacoby Brissett's time at quarterback, because I think it's now on watch. May watch continues. It's back on.
Back burner a little bit.
So who do you blame?
Hotter.
Who do you blame for this Seahawks loss? You're going to blame the coaches? You want to blame the fourth down decision? You want to blame, I don't know, things in game? Or do you want to blame the fact this roster sucks? God, I just wish their roster was a little bit better. Just a little bit better to be able to win that game. Because you look at their schedule, and now I'm seeing spots on the schedules, though, that I didn't really see before.
Oh, just like me last week.
Like the Rams getting destroyed yesterday by the Cardinals. It's like, oh, maybe the Rams suck, right? Maybe there's another winnable game there.
Colts.
Again, the Cardinals are able to throw the football, move the football. They have a quarterback. They have receivers. They scored 41 points. The Patriots can only dream of doing something like that. They can't pass. They're having some problems there. Having some problems getting into the receivers. Tight end, they can get the ball to. Hunter Henry. Open all day yesterday.
Yeah.
All day, Hunter Henry was there.
Yep.
Thank God for Hunter Henry.
There was one point going into overtime. 245 yards were gained by the fullbacks and tight ends on the ground and through the air. The other production of 5 yards came from Jalen Polk's touchdown. 5 yards. That's going into overtime. That can't happen. That cannot happen at this level, in this league. You're lucky to be in that game. From that lack of production, you're lucky to be in that game.
185 yards rushing on the ground. And that game yesterday should show you what the ceiling is. Great. You can run for a buck 85 on the ground. What does that do for you?
But that's a team that shuts down the run. They didn't think they were going to really be able to run it like that. And they went in and ran it like that.
I mean, one of them was a big 45-yarder for Gibson, which we mentioned. But
still,
you're well over 100 yards rushing. And, right? It's like, and that did what for you?
Ramondre is also on pace for, it's like 100 touches more than what Christian McCaffrey led the league with last year as well. I don't know how sustainable that is, too, if you keep relying on Ramondre Stevenson the way that you are right now. How long is he going to last?
At this rate, I don't know. But what other options do they have? What can they do?
Gibson, that's it. And he ran hard yesterday. He's got a different running style. Yeah, that's the stuff we saw when we played the Commanders. He diced us up pretty good. Screen game, outside runs, inside. The kid can run inside, outside. He's pretty good. No jet sweeps, no bubble screens. They had a great call on a tight end screen. That was phenomenal. But, like, it's sporadic. It's not. You need a rhythm of them.
Yeah. Jalen Polk, 2 catches. KJ Osborne, 1 catch. That's the day. That's the day in the passing game for Jacoby Brissett, who finishes with 149 yards passing.
Did he leave plays out there, Zo?
No.
Good.
No.
So,
there weren't
didn't
many.
have time to develop, or guys were covered?
Guys were covered. I thought guys were covered all day, pretty much. Like, we came back from Cincinnati. There were chances guys were there, but protection broke down and he had to take off. But there were a couple times you could have got the ball to Pop last week. I didn't feel that way this week. I felt this was more a coverage issue. Their corners are pretty good. 2 second-rounders, 1.64, the Woolen kid. Are long and lanky. Lanky legs. Good coverage, guys. It's like Brandon Browner. It's like the old-school Seahawks. It's the old-school Seahawks-type defense. It really was. Without the big names.
You got them winning on the short week against the Jets. Is it too early to ask? It's Monday.
No,
it's a short week. That's why I'm here at Gillette today.
Right now, based on your injuries, I'm picking the Jets. As of right now, I'm picking the Jets.
Oh, well, you went from 3-0 to 1-2 real quick.
How'd the Jets do yesterday? I didn't see anything.
They won.
Yeah.
They won.
Did that pulling out? They struggled again. How's their line? I don't know. But I know their quarterback's better than the quarterback you faced here yesterday. So as goofy as he is, he's better. He'll make it rain.
All right. That sounds like you're jumping off the early season bandwagon a little bit.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Wild card team now?
All those good vibes from Cincinnati are
I think
gone.
you could sneak in a wild card.
Who?
That's
New England?
See if he's listening.
You think New England can sneak in the wild card?
Not right now. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.